We just witnessed the unbelievable Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou just boxed to an incredibly close and controversial split decision over 10 rounds. Now, this is absolutely unreal. I mean, I did not expect to see this at all. I thought that Francis Ngannou was going to go out there and just try and knock out Tyson Fury, and Fury was just going to outbox him and eventually finish him. I thought he was going to finish him in the 6th round. That was my official prediction. I couldn't have been more wrong, and to be honest, a lot of boxing experts out there couldn't have been more wrong as well. Nobody expected to see Francis Ngannou look this good as a boxer, and there's just so many talking points to say, but I did want to start off with saying that Ngannou looked incredible. He looked much better than expected, and he did go out there and he did shock the world. Now, when it comes to the fight, when it did start out, Tyson Fury was outlanding Ngannou. You know, he outlanded, I believe it was like 2-1 in rounds 1 and 2. But then Ngannou knocked him down in round 3. And when it comes to that knockdown seemed to spark a little bit of controversy online, because when you do see the knockdown, Fury goes down, and a lot of people on Twitter were saying that it was staged and that it was a fake knockdown. I think that was a real knockdown. Ngannou put Fury down. Now, he didn't put Fury down in a very brutal way, but the way that he put him down, you know, he caught Fury on the ear, or a little bit behind the ear, which is a very good spot to land, and he caught Fury off balance as well, which is kind of added to Fury going down to the canvas. And the way that you look in Fury's face, you know, he's kind of like, he's surprised. He kind of had that same sort of look when he got put down by Wilder. You know, it was a knockdown, it was a legitimate knockdown, and that sparked a little bit of controversy. And well, I think it was just mainly because nobody expected this from Ngannou. And then from there, I believe it was like after round 5, Ngannou starts to have a lot more success as well. He starts to land some big shots. He lands quite a few hooks. I want to say it was round 7 or 8. He started to land some very, very big shots on Tyson Fury, but Fury eats them. Fury is throwing huge right uppercuts throughout the fight that don't land, but if they did land, I mean, this could have been a different story. Unbelievable. And it comes down to the 10-round decision. Now, when it comes to the decision, I do have to say this. When I watch a lot of UFC fights and I'm on my live stream, I'm like dialed in. I'm watching the fight and I'm kind of scoring it round by round. When it comes to this fight, I just watched this fight for the entertainment value, really. So I was kind of sitting kicked back in my lounge, and I had a few mates watching the fight with me as well. I wasn't like dialed in, like scoring it round by round. But when it comes to the decision, the way that the scorecards read was Francis Ngannou was given 5 rounds by one of the judge, and because of the 10-8 in round 3, he won the fight on one of the judges' scorecards. On the other 2 judges' scorecards, Tyson Fury was given 7 rounds, and Francis Ngannou was given 6 rounds. And so Tyson Fury wins the split decision with the 10-8 round as well, making the fight a little bit closer. I believe that is how the scorecards worked in that matchup. And I'm seeing a lot of people crying robbery, in my opinion, but I do want to emphasize that I wasn't watching this and scoring it round by round. I do think Tyson Fury won the fight. There's a lot of variation on how people think the fight was won, but I think a lot of people really think that Ngannou won because he made it so much closer than it really was. Now, you could definitely argue this with me. I mean, I didn't watch it super close, but scoring round by round, I thought that Fury won quite a few of the earlier rounds. You know, he got the 10-8 against him in round 3, but I thought he won a few of the earlier rounds, and I think that you can also give him the 10th round as well. But giving Tyson Fury 7 rounds, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could give him some of the rounds, because when it comes to boxing scoring, it's a little bit different. And I do want to emphasize again, I'm not an expert in boxing, but I do understand that a lot of the time when boxing judges are scoring fights, they're not kind of just judging based on, you know, the damage and the control. There's also kind of how good boxing looks as well. That's another kind of factor of the way that the boxing fight is scored. So although you could say that Ngannou did land more damage and maybe some of those rounds, the judges may have maybe been looking more at the technique of Fury and how Fury was kind of dealing with Ngannou rather than the damage that Ngannou was doing. But yes, there is an argument that Ngannou won this fight. Absolutely. To be honest with you, when I was sitting there and I heard it was a split decision, I did think that they were going to go Fury's way. I did think that, you know, if the judges were to give the decision to somebody, they would give it to the champion of the world, you know, not Francis Ngannou. So I feel like if Ngannou was going to win this fight, I feel like the decision was almost never going to be on the cards. But I do want to say, I think there's a big overreaction when it does come to the scorecards, because this was just an incredibly close fight. I want to emphasize that. But me just kind of sitting back and super relaxed, and I was eating chips. You know, I was super relaxed watching this fight. I did think that given the fight to Tyson Fury makes a lot of sense, but there's a big uproar, and that kind of gives Francis Ngannou a big credit, you know, a massive credit. And also, I might have to say, is Dewey Cooper and Mike Tyson like an insane boxing coach duo? Because I want to emphasize as well, when Ngannou fought Tyson Fury, he didn't really fight like I thought he was going to again, because I thought he was going to run forward and kind of just windmill punches like he did in the UFC and just kind of try and get lucky or just try and land something big on Fury. And, you know, he looked good. One thing I will say, though, is I thought Tyson Fury looked pretty slow. I think Tyson Fury looked... He didn't necessarily look as good as I really remember Tyson Fury looking, but once again, you could credit that to being how good Ngannou looked on the night as well, for sure. But another thing I want to say as well, where does Francis Ngannou go from here? Because I might make a completely separate video on this, because it's not really related to the fight. But Ngannou signed a contract with the PFL. So Ngannou has to fight for the PFL now, remember? He said that he was going to have this boxing fight at the end of this year, and he was going to fight for the PFL next year. But by the sounds of it in the post-fight interview, and Ngannou had a very good post-fight interview, come off as very likable, Ngannou wants to keep boxing, and honestly, considering the fact that this fight was so close, I don't know what Ngannou can do about this PFL situation, but, I mean, if he could get out of that contract and really focus on boxing and maybe just try and fight another top guy, like Francis Ngannou versus Deontay Wilder, all of a sudden is incredibly interesting. In fact, I'm going to make a separate video on this, so if you want to watch that, let me know in the comments, and just subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and you'll see it pop up, hopefully. But yeah, I want to talk about this fight, but there's a very... I don't want to bring down the fight, I don't want to bring down the performance from Ngannou, but his future is questionable, because now he's got that PFL contract. He's signed to the PFL as an MMA fighter. So he's kind of got something that he's got to do over there. But anyway, to talk about this fight though, I want to see Ngannou box again. I can't believe he looked this good, man. I can't believe it. I was always quite critical of Ngannou. I was incredibly critical of Ngannou leaving the UFC, because he left the UFC, and it seemed like when he left the UFC, he had absolutely no plan whatsoever. And then out of nowhere, he somehow gets this fight with Tyson Fury, and Saudi Arabia is setting it up, and Saudi Arabia is doing this massive show, which I will say went on for way too long. It was like an hour and a half between the co-main event and the main event. It was insane. They had like Lil Baby do a show. I think they had like other rappers and other artists. To be honest with you, I saw that they were like an hour away on the time, like 53 minutes. So we went off and I did other things. You know, I was up to other things. And then I come back and there's another 15 minutes. And I was like, oh my goodness, when is this fight gonna start? And then it starts finally. And it was a great fight, to be honest with you. Incredible. Incredible performance from Ngannou. All the credit to him. I want to see him fight again. And if we can get Ngannou versus Wilder, that's the fight, man. That's the fight. I mean, come on now. That's crazy. And Ngannou said that he only trained for like 3.5 months for this fight. So Ngannou might just have an insane natural boxing talent. Now, there will be people going around saying, you know, maybe Tyson Fury, maybe this was part of the script. Maybe Tyson Fury made the fight close on purpose. Now, people can say that, but the thing is, we won't actually know that until Ngannou has a pro fight with somebody else. Because at the end of the day, although I believe this fight does go on their professional boxing records, I believe this was an exhibition. I'm not 100% sure. It seemed to be a bit of a grey area. But there is a rematch clause as well. I should have brought that up earlier. There is a rematch clause in this fight. So they might do it again. I don't even know. I mean, I might actually make separate videos on this topic. I don't want to make too many videos because at the moment I'm in the middle of exams. But my goodness, what a performance from Francis Ngannou. Congratulations to him. He looked great. When it comes to the decision, I can see people wanting to give it to Ngannou, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it back. But I think Fury getting the decision's the right call, to be honest with you. Giving Fury 7 rounds, though, I think you can give Ngannou 4 rounds. Give him round 3, and was it like round 6, 7, and 8, or even 7, 8, and 9? I think that he looks pretty good in. I mean, there's argument. There is an argument to be made, for sure. So yeah, just let me know what you think in the comments below. I think there'll be a lot of people in the comments probably saying that they think Ngannou won, but just let me know what you think. And I'm gonna make a separate video about Ngannou's future because he's got that PFL contract. He signed to the PFL. And I feel like a lot of boxing fans now see this performance that Ngannou just had against Tyson Fury, and they want to see Ngannou again. You know, like people, like all these boxing fans that don't watch the UFC or have watched the UFC but don't really care too much about it, they watch Ngannou have a close fight with Fury. All of a sudden, there's a lot of interest in Ngannou. There's UFC, MMA fans, and there's boxing fans that want to see Ngannou box again. If Ngannou can somehow work his way out of that PFL deal, that would be massive. And I feel like that's what he needs to do. I think what Ngannou should do, honestly, is see if he can just maybe even arrange with the PFL to be a co-promoter of a fight with Deontay Wilder. I mean, that's the fight. Unless they want to do the Fury rematch, because there is a rematch clause. I will talk about all that in a separate video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cannot believe this happened, and I'll catch you guys later.